issue of blood. She can't touch the prophet, because if you touch the prophet, and that prophet will be unclean. The lady was scared after she knew she was found out. But this lady just kept on. She was pushing the crowd. She wanted to touch the hem of Jesus' garment. Have you ever thought how hard that was? After your blood has been coming out every single day. I know women understand what it means when you have your period. And that's not easy, because when you have your period, it's like you're not normal. You have headaches, you have cramps, you have everything. It just not feels good. But every single day, this woman had this for so many years. And he said it did not stop. And then she said, I will reach out and touch this Jesus. And it doesn't matter how I feel. Maybe she was shaking. And she was trying to push the people. And people were kicking her and shoving her around. And you also have to remember, the streets of Jerusalem were full. They were full of donkey, camel, and animal poop. So she wasn't that clean. She probably was homeless. And she was reaching out. She said, this is my only hope. Maybe you're not homeless. Maybe you're not full of poop. Maybe you're not that dirty. That means you have a hope. There's a reason for you being there. There's a reason for your light to shine. This woman said, I will not let that light to die from within me. He said, I will rise up from wherever I am, and I will cause that light to shine forth. And she touched the life of Jesus, the garment of Jesus. And then she said, hey, you said, someone touched me. Because I know, because power came out of me. Are we able to do that? Jesus is seeking for people that will reach out. That even though you are at the end of where you are, you're going to reach out. Even though you're weak, even though there's nothing, even though there's no hope, even though you've been bleeding and you have been brought from riches to poverty and you might have been homeless, God is looking for men and women who will just reach out and say, I will not allow this light to die. This woman came out and Jesus stopped. And you know what happened after that? He said, your faith has healed you. Your faith has made you well. And then the apostle said, Jesus, hurry up! There's a little girl right over there, 12 years old. She's dying. Jesus understood one thing. He had a destiny. And although there was a purpose of him going to that 12-year-old little girl, there was one person that he had to stop for. There were a lot of people that touched him, but there was this one particular person of whom he stopped. And he allowed destiny to stop at a moment. And he went to that young little girl. And when he got there, the people were saying, it says that there was wailing. There were people crying out. They were crying, going, ah! Ah! She's dead! Why are you bothering the teacher? Why are you bothering Jesus? Your child is dead. Jairus was shaking, and Jesus was said, hey, don't worry about it. Just relax. Don't be afraid. Your daughter is just sleeping. There was one issue after another in that story. And Jesus could have been pulled from one place to the other, from one edge to the other. And as Jesus was there, he said, send all these people out. There will be times in your life when people might be crying for you. There may be people in your life, there might be times when people will be waiting. They'll be saying, you're it, you're gone, there's no hope. But as long as Jesus is in your life and in your heart, and he says, quiet, this young girl is just sleeping, and there's hope for you. And as long as there's breath in you, there's always hope. You can never, and there is never a reason for you and me to give up. Why? Because Jesus can resurrect, even if you have died and you've been pronounced dead. The people are waiting because she has been pronounced dead. They already knew. Maybe your finances are dead. Maybe you have declared bankruptcy. God can turn everything around. There's nothing that he cannot resurrect. There's every single reason for God to resurrect you and me. He looked down upon this child. He sent everyone out, and he said, bring in the mom, bring in the dad. And he said, bring in the apostles. And brought in Peter, James, and John. And then he laid hands on this young girl. And he said, Talitha Kumi, rise up. And this girl rose up, and she said, feed her. And the day that God allows you to go through a time that seems like you're dead, He will come. Why? Maybe not because of your faith. Maybe there's someone in your family who reached out and called on to Jesus. And maybe you were the one who's calling out for the life of someone in your family who's dead. He will come. It doesn't matter how dead your family loved one is. God will come out. He will reach out and He will say, Talitha kumi. Rise up. Look at your seat and say, Talitha kumi. Rise up.
Rise up.
There is nothing that can keep us away from the love of God. Everything that He has given unto you and to me, there is a light that is waiting to shine. And the light is so powerful that it is not hindered and is not limited in our lives alone. It can be brought into the life of someone else. If there is something so special about this Jairus, he was not the guy that said, Jesus, if you just hurried up, my daughter would not have died. No, he was just there. He was afraid. But he knew this Jesus could raise anyone up. We didn't even hear the story of Lazarus yet, because the raising up of Lazarus didn't even happen yet. But all he knew was that there was this man called Jesus, and that in Him was life, and He had life abundantly. And if I call Him, it doesn't matter if my daughter was dead, He can raise my daughter up. Look at your seatmate and say, it doesn't matter what is dead in your life.
Doesn't matter what's there.
God can raise it
God
up
can raise it.
with just the words. Talitha kumi. Next, please. Let's go on. One more. Sometimes destiny is fulfilled in the seeming distractions of life. Jesus was distracted by the woman who had an issue of blood. But it says here that destiny was fulfilled in the life of that woman. Why? Because it doesn't matter if God is busy and His mind is in doing something else. If you have a heart to reach out and say, it doesn't matter, whatever little strength I have, I will reach out, destiny will be fulfilled in your life. He's saying what? People will be asking why. Why are you doing this? Why are you allowing this to happen? Why are you even calling Jesus? There's no more hope. Everything's dead. Well, make sure if you're the one that God has called to fulfill the destiny in someone else's life, be careful not to pass it by. People will speak against what you're doing. Even though you know in your heart God called you to do it, they will speak against it, but don't let that happen. Don't let that affect you, because the truth is, there is something, a distraction that may happen in your life. And that distraction is something that may fulfill your destiny. Be careful not allow that distraction to pass you by. Be careful that you look at every distraction, because that distraction that God has placed in your life may be the very thing that will propel you to your destiny. Look at your teammate and say, watch out.
Watch out.
And be careful. Open your eyes and be sensitive to the Spirit of God. Next, please. When we don't know our purpose, others will be happy giving theirs. What were the apostles saying? They were saying, Jesus, why are you even asking who touched you? Why are you even asking? We're supposed to go to this young girl. He didn't let that happen. He said, no, I'm going. I'm going to stop here. I want to find out who that woman is. There were priests and scribes and Pharisees who were asking, where are you going, Jesus? Why are you going back? Don't you understand? Don't you realize they want to kill you in Jerusalem? He said, no, for this purpose I was called to preach the kingdom. For this purpose I was called to bring this message from one city to the other. For this purpose I was called. What is the very purpose that God called you to do and to be?